Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Donald A. Quarles Kindergarten Orientation. My name is Miss Mariette NG, and I'm currently the acting principal for the Donald A. Quarles School until September 1st. I will be here to answer any questions that you may have, and also to support you throughout the summer as Miss Arlene NG returns in September. With me today, I have Miss Manziano, our reading specialist.
Good evening, everyone.
And we also have one of our staff members from the nurse team, Miss Denise Londano, who works at the middle school.
Good evening, everybody.
And also on the call, one of our technicians, Daichi.
Hello.
So welcome. We hope you find this session informative. Please feel free throughout the session to type in questions in the chat, and we will do our best to answer all of them. Buenas noches a todos los padres y guardianes o encargados que están con nosotros hoy en día. Yo soy la directora actual para este verano hasta el 1 de septiembre. La directora, la señora Arlene NG, estará con ustedes en septiembre. Hoy con nosotros se encuentra la especialista de la lectura, la señora Miss Manziano.
Good evening.
También se encuentra Denise Londano, que es una de nuestras enfermeras en el distrito.
Good evening, everybody.
Y estamos aquí para ustedes para informarlos sobre cualquier pregunta que tengan sobre el plan de estudios de los estudiantes o refiriendo al comienzo de la escuela. En el chat box pueden escribir alguna pregunta que tengan sobre la escuela o la reapertura de la escuela comenzando en septiembre. Entonces, gracias por estar con nosotros. Nuestra agenda de hoy, our kindergarten curriculum. We will go over the kindergarten curriculum, the typical class schedule, homework, report card, technology, visiting campus, dual language, and COVID-19, school nurse information, and frequently asked questions. Nuestra agenda de hoy cubrirá el currículo o plan de estudios de Kinder, un ejemplo del horario escolar. Vamos a hablar sobre la tarea, carta de calificaciones, tecnología, visitando nuestra escuela, el programa de lenguaje dual, información sobre el COVID-19. También habrá una sección para la enfermera y para preguntas que ustedes tengan hacia nosotros. Go ahead, Ms. Manziano.
Okay, so the first piece of the curriculum we're going to speak about tonight is the phonics curriculum. And the phonics curriculum has 3 parts to it that are new this year or being revisited for pacing. So the first thing that we're going to be introducing is an ABC boot camp. And during the first 26 days of school, the students will learn 1 letter each day. They will learn how to form the letter. They will learn the letter sound, and they will be getting activities to bring home and to share with you so the discussion can continue at home. The second piece is our Orton Gillingham recipe for reading. If you've had a child in kindergarten before, we have used this program for many years now. We're just revisiting the pacing. We're going to be doing 2 letters a week this year and incorporating different types of activities that will have the children ready to read at the expected level by the end of kindergarten. The last piece that's new this year is called The Secret Stories. And in this program, it's taking the letters and making a brain-based connection to the emotional part of the brain. So it gives a story for vowel teams or letters that don't make a typical sound. So for instance, for AU or AW, a teacher might give a story such as the AU and AW are so in love that every time they see each other, they say, "Aw." And so it helps the kids to make a connection to those letters and to understand a logical reason that they make those sounds.
Para el plan de estudios vamos a comenzar con la fonética y el programa que se llama ABC Entrenamiento, donde los estudiantes aprenderán una letra diaria durante los 26 días de clase. Tendrán una rutina consistente y les permitirá a ellos sentirse seguros de su trabajo y aprendizaje. También tenemos el programa de Orton Gillingham, que es basado en la investigación integral y multisensorial y basado en la fonética. Este programa incorpora técnicas visuales y auditivas para enseñar y reforzar conceptos fonéticos. También tenemos, como comentó la señora Mantiano, historias secretas. Las historias secretas de historia son las razones secretas con la cual las letras se juntan y producen los diferentes sonidos que hacen. Ofrecen explicaciones lógicas para el comportamiento de sonidos de las letras que el cerebro y de los alumnos anhelan. Por ejemplo, ella dijo la conexión de la A y U y A y W y por qué hacen A. Y los estudiantes tendrán proyectos para ver las conexiones en forma de historia.
For the other reading and writing parts of our curriculum, we use the Lucy Calkins Units of Study for Readers and Writers Workshop. And every day the students will have a lesson in both reading and writing that has a mini lesson, some guided practice, time for them to work in small groups with their teachers. And then at the end of the lesson, the students will have an opportunity to share what they worked on that day.
Ok, ahora también el taller de escritura o de lectura, donde los estudiantes le harán historias. Esto es para ayudar con la fluidez de la lectura. También sirve como esfuerzo de los sonidos y las letras que hablamos sobre el plan de estudios y la fonética. Estos talleres incluyen, la estructura de la lección diaria incluye una mini lección, una práctica guiada, conferencias y también oportunidades en donde los estudiantes le hacen preguntas de comprensión sobre la lectura. Por ejemplo, ¿por qué le causó a uno de los personajes en la historia ser tal cosa? Para así ver que los estudiantes no solamente están leyendo, pero hay una conexión de comprensión.
The math curriculum. For math, we use a program called Into Math, and it really builds the foundations of the children's mathematical knowledge going forward through high school. The different modules being covered in the foundations of math are numbers 1 through 5, 6 through 10, shapes. They will be building their math vocabulary, going into more and less. They'll do the team numbers, and then they'll do addition and subtraction. What's different about this program is that it encourages adding and subtracting very early in the year so that students hit the ground running in learning those skills, and then they're able to use it much quicker in more abstract problems or in word problems. The lesson format is a whole group lesson followed by a movement to go with the numbers or whatever skills they're learning. There's books to go with it, and then they're able to go back and work in small groups.
I will have to do it in a smaller screen size. I'm having trouble with the sharing of the slides, so I apologize for that. Okay. También vamos a hablar sobre el currículo de matemáticas que cubre las unidades que son actuales. El primer capítulo o concepto serán los números del 1 a 5, luego los números de 6 a 10, las formas como rectángulo, triángulo, cuadrado, el concepto de más o menos, también números de 11 a 20 y también estará, en adición a eso, será la suma y la resta. La estructura de la lección diaria incluye grupo completo con también con música, movimiento, también la conexión de vocabulario de matemáticas leyendo un libro grande. Habrá también oportunidades de grupos pequeños para hacer trabajos activos. También trabajos independientes para ver cómo el estudiante participa activamente.
The science curriculum we use is very 21st century based, and it encourages the teachers to teach through the use of technology as well as hands-on learning. Each of the lessons has a technology-based interactive piece that the students will go through, and then it follows up with different experiments to be used in the classroom. The areas of study for kindergarten are plants and animals, engineering, forces in motion, sun warms the earth, weather, and Earth's resources.
Okay. I just want to make sure if we can type in the chat. It seems like we're having some connections, or if people, any parents on the call or participants on the call, if you can just type in the chat if you're able to see my screen or hear me.
We can hear you on this side,
Okay.
at least from my side.
Okay.
And I can
Mrs.
see the
Mano,
screen.
can you see my screen? Okay. El currículo de ciencias son componentes interactivos que permiten a los estudiantes trabajar en grupo o a nivel individualizado. Las unidades de estudios son las plantas y animales, ingeniería, fuerzas de movimiento, el sol calienta la tierra, el clima y recursos de nuestra tierra.
Each afternoon, the students will have an opportunity to work in enrichment centers. And I just want to before I go into this slide, let you know that these centers are subject to COVID regulations. So oftentimes during center time, the children will be playing in dramatic play or blocks, art, or doing puzzles, basically a very collaborative time with students working hands-on together. Last year in the spring, when we opened with COVID restrictions, we had to change this up to meet the needs of the restrictions at the time. And so going forward in September, these are the typical centers, but we work with what we have to make it work during this time. So you might find dramatic play where there would be a kitchen area, puppets or dress up, Legos, gears, Kinects, a different type of building centers, art centers where they can draw, paint, color, make collages, use their iPads to make movies or to practice different skills, and many different types of puzzles.
La hora de centros de enriquecimiento es la hora de centros, un tiempo desarrollado para los estudiantes que pueden variar, especialmente durante este tiempo de COVID. Puede incluir juego dramático, construcciones con bloques o Legos, artes, puede incluir rompecabezas y el iPad.
So now we'll go through what a typical class schedule would look like. And again, this schedule could change based on whatever information we're given about COVID. So typically by 7:15, we're asking that the parents have the daily COVID screening form filled out. By 7:55, your child is arriving to campus. And 8 o'clock, they'll be walked to the classroom to meet with their teachers. At 8:05, they'll have the arrival, they'll wash their hands and prepare to do their do now for the day, which will get them ready for their day of learning. By 8:25, they're having morning meeting and they're beginning their phonics drills with the Orton Gillingham. 9 o'clock, they're doing writing workshop. 9:30, they're doing their mini lesson for reading. And 10 o'clock, they'll have their snack. 10:15, they do a read aloud with comprehension questions. 10:30, literacy centers, that hands-on learning period with literacy, and other groups will work with the teacher on guided reading. At 11:15, they'll switch gears and go over to math. 12 o'clock, they have lunch and recess. Half the grade, whoever's in that lunch period, half of them would have lunch first and the other half will go outside and then they would switch. 12:45 would be their related arts for the day. And then 1:25, they would have science or social studies. Then they would have choice time and then it would be time for dismissal.
Ese es un ejemplo del el horario típico de clase que comienza a las 7:15 con los padres que deben de completar el formulario de COVID diario. Luego a las 7:55 es la llegada a la escuela. A las 8 los estudiantes y maestros caminarán hacia las aulas. A las 8:05 es la llegada y el hazlo ahora, que consiste en repasar un tema que hicieron en la clase del día anterior. Puede ser matemáticas, puede ser literatura o fonética. Luego a las 8:25 hay reunión de la mañana, donde cantan las canciones a veces de los días de la semana, hacen una historia. A las 9 es taller de escritura, donde trabajan en construir o escribir oraciones. A las 9:30 hay grupo de, van sobre la fonética y los sonidos. A las 10 es la merienda, que luego en la presentación hablaremos más de eso. A las 10:15, leer en voz alta, donde la maestra lee un libro. A las 10:30 hay centros de literatura y centros de área de escritura. A las 11:15, matemáticas. A las 12 hay almuerzo y recreo, que 20 minutos son para comer y 20 minutos son para el recreo, que puede ser afuera o adentro en la clase si hay lluvia. A las 12:45 son las artes relacionadas, que son 3 o 4 que hay para nuestra rotación. A la 1:25 son las ciencias y sociales, se rotan. Un día puede ser ciencias, el otro día puede ser sociales. A las 1:50 son centros de elección. El estudiante puede escoger a qué centro puede estar activo. Por ejemplo, si va a escoger el centro de Legos o el centro de dibujar. A las 2:15 es la salida de clases en el horario que es normal, de 8 a 2:15.
So every day the students will have time to have a snack. And in this slide, we're just making some recommendations for different types of healthy snacks that you may want to send in with your child. Some things might be veggies and dip, yogurt, string cheese, crackers, different types of like lunch meats. We really want to offer the children healthy snacks to keep them engaged and to keep them ready to learn. We are also doing a new drive, if you will, to encourage students to drink more water, and actually the teachers as well, because it can't hurt for any of us to have more water. So you'll be hearing more about the Quarles Quench program, and that's going to be to encourage the students and the faculty to drink more water.
Este es un ejemplo de las meriendas que deben de mandar con sus hijos. Me estamos, por favor, pidiendo a los padres o los encargados de que empaquen una merienda ligera y saludable. Por ejemplo, puede ser rollitos de pavo con jamón y queso, también galletas con mantequilla, verduras, frutas, puede ser cereal con frutas secas, también tortillas al horno. Es muy importante a esa edad enseñar a los estudiantes o a sus niños de tener alimentos sanos y saludables. También tenemos el programa que la enfermera va a empezar este año para nuestra escuela, los profesores y también los estudiantes, es de incrementar, en vez de traer jugos con muchas azúcar, tomar más agua. Entonces va a un programa que se llama Quench Program.
Miss Angie, may I just add something?
Sure.
Just for the healthy snacks, please be advised that we do not allow anything with nuts or peanuts because there are too many allergies. So please keep that in mind when you're sending in the snacks.
Ok, solamente queremos recordarle a los padres que por favor no envíen a sus hijos con nueces debido a las alergias que hay en las escuelas. A veces muchos de nuestros niños son alérgicos o tienen reacciones cuando hay, por ejemplo, nueces o almendras. Entonces, por favor, no llevarlos o empacarles estas meriendas para la escuela.
The related arts schedule. So every day the students will have one block of time where they go to related arts. This year the students will have music, art, gym twice a week, and technology media.
Este es el horario de artes relacionadas, que es música, arte, educación física 2 veces por semana y tecnología.
Homework. This will be the year where your child will first encounter homework, most likely. And we just make some recommendations that you have a designated spot where the child goes every day to do their homework. And this area is prepared with everything they'll need: crayons, pencils, scissors, glue. That you pick a time, if possible, to have them make a schedule and do their homework every day. And if possible, that you spend some time reading to them after that time. And we ask that you review their letters of the week. So there'll be 2 letters of the week, and their sight words, there'll also be 2 of those, that you regularly review them and incorporate them into your life so that the student is exposed to those and is seeing them in the real world.
Sí habrá tarea para los estudiantes del grado de kinder. Es muy importante para los padres que crear un lugar organizado, designado para los niños hacer las tareas. No solamente crear un lugar organizado fuera de distracciones, también mantener un horario consistente, si es posible hacer una hora una hora y un lugar designado para las tareas. Estas tareas pueden incluir los materiales necesarios son los siguientes: pueden ser crayolas, pueden ser lápices, puede ser borrador o la tableta iPad, que pueden tener tarea usando la aplicación Seesaw. También queremos recordarles que es muy importante de repasar las palabras de alta frecuencia, que serán 2 a la semana, y también los sonidos de las letras, que serán 2 por semana. Es muy importante para lo que comentamos, tener la fluidez para los estudiantes aprender a leer, y también que al final del grado kinder puedan identificar los 70 palabras de alta frecuencia. Este año se incrementó, al año pasado era una letra por semana. Este año queremos que los estudiantes aprendan 2 letras cada semana. Los sonidos, no solamente identificar, saber el sonido y también saber y ver las palabras de alta frecuencia. Les también recomendamos a los padres que le lean, si es posible, todas las noches a sus hijos para tenerlo tener un hábito de lectura en casa.
So as this is the first year that students will be doing work at home, we want to encourage them by making it fun and exciting to get to spend time doing work at home rather than have homework become a chore at such an early age. So when you're reviewing your sight words or your letters, we've come up with some ideas to share with you that will make it more fun and engaging for the children. The first one is having a snowball fight. So you would take Post-it notes and write either their letters of the week or their sight words on them, and then wrinkle them up, and you can throw them and have the children open them and read the letter and tell you the sound of the letter. Or if it's a word, have them spell out the word. So if, for instance, the word is good, you don't want them to sound it out. You want them to say the letters G-O-O-D, good. And then you can have them wrinkle it back up and they can throw it back at you. Same thing, if you're going to use hop a word, you would write the word on an index card or a piece of paper and put it on the floor. They would hop to the word, spell it out to you, and then hop to the next one. The last one is fun. It's hide and find. So you again would write the words or the letters on a Post-it note, hide them around the house, and they would go on a hunt to find the words. When they found them, they would spell them out. And this is just different ways for them to practice the words that they're learning. Some different math activities to make math engaging and fun for the kids. It would be a scavenger hunt. So you can make a list of things for them to find. So you can tell them to go find 3 pillows in your house, and this will encourage them to go off and count. If you are putting away groceries, you can ask them to count how many cereal boxes there are, and that would be the counting up game. And if you are putting away groceries once again, and you have some different fruits and vegetables, you can ask them to find all the different ways that they can sort those items and then tell you how they sorted them. So with these different games, we're looking for ways to make the students see math in the real world and the world around them.
I just want to reiterate what Ms. Manziano had mentioned. It's really important for the learning to be fun and engaging for the students and for the learning to really come to life. So in addition to that, I know, we all go to the supermarket and pick up goods for our families. So take the opportunity, for example, if you're shopping for, canned beans and the can has the letter B, maybe you're playing a game in which, can you tell me what letter it's shown on the can? What is the sound of the letter? What letters do you see on the bus? What letters do you see on the ad? What is the sound for that? So that they're repeating what they're learning, and also you're part of their learning process as well. So please, take these considerations for these activities for home. Esas son las actividades de casa que le hablamos a los padres, donde pueden reforzar, por ejemplo, las palabras de alta frecuencia. Una sería como una pelea de nieve. Por ejemplo, cogen un papel, escriben la palabra de alta frecuencia, que sería THE, lo ponen en un papel, lo estripan como si fuera un balón o una bola y lo tiran. Le dices a su hijo o a su hija que por favor encuentren el papel, abren el papel y que lean la palabra. Así lo identifican, pueden ver las letras de la palabra de alta frecuencia. La segunda actividad puede ser como con un papelito o con una carta. Pueden escribir una palabra, luego cuando el estudiante lee la palabra the, brinca sobre la palabra y lo deletrea, the. Luego a la siguiente palabra, brinca, identifica la palabra y también lo deletrea. Escondidijo también es otra opción, donde ustedes como padre esconden las palabras y al estudiante encontrar, se los tienen que leer, qué palabra de alta frecuencia dice. Actividades de matemáticas pueden incluir contando. Puedes decirle al estudiante, por ejemplo, busca 5 cucharas en la casa. ¿Cuáles son 5 cucharas? También una idea sería cuando hacen compras y están surtiendo las frutas, hay cuántas bananas, hay cuántas fresas. Son algunas actividades que pueden hacer en casa para reforzar o hacer el aprendizaje ser más activo.
I can just do it in English. Okay, so if you've had a child in Quarles school before, you would know that we use 4 marking periods during the year. This year, we will be changing that and we will be reducing it to 3 marking periods that will end in December, March, and June. This will give us more time to be able to get to know the students and to build those foundations before we begin reporting on their progress. Now, teachers will be reporting to you constantly through our different platforms that we have, which we'll be sharing later, but the students will not get an official report card till December, then again in March, and finally in June. On our new report card, it is standards-based, so a group of teachers worked to look at the overarching kindergarten strands that needed to be learned and build the report card based on those things. It will have academics as well as social and emotional skills, and they'll be graded using, for academics, it will be a 4, 3, 2, or 1. By the end of the year, it will be expected that the child is at a 3, and a 4 is going above and beyond the kindergarten expectation. So by the end of the year, the 3 is what will be expected. And for the social and emotional standards, they'll be graded using consistently follows the expectation, works towards meeting the expectation, and needs improvement. It'll be a little bit different than the numbers. And the new report cards will have the legends to explain each of the grades.
Thank you. Also, where can you find the report card once that it's the time? So the report card for kindergarten is found in Genesis. So anytime the grade is active, parents will receive a notification saying your child's report card is in the parent portal. So it's very important, we'll touch upon it later, that you have access to the Genesis parent portal and all of that information is updated. La carta de calificaciones de kinder serán 3 semestres. Se le otorgará un reporte usando el portal de los padres, que es Génesis, diciembre, marzo y junio. Esto es un cambio en nuestra carta de calificaciones. En los tiempos pasados hubo 4 periodos. Este año que comienza solamente son 3 para darle a los profesores más tiempo de ver el progreso y el nivel del estudiante al empezar hasta diciembre. También hubo cambios no solamente en los semestres de la carta de calificación, pero también viendo los estándares que son donde deben estar los estudiantes al final de kinder. Van a ver que usamos la métrica del estado que dice lo siguiente. Puede ser, por ejemplo, que al final del grado kinder, el estudiante identifica sonidos, puede juntar las palabras y leerlas usando la fonética. Es muy importante que ustedes sepan leer la carta de calificaciones. Puede ser empezamos que los estudiantes al final de junio deben de tener un 3 en cada categoría. También se da un número basado en el aprendizaje social y emocional. Teresa, can we talk about the social emotional competencies?
Sure. So this year, we are incorporating a new curriculum that a group of teachers sat down to create that is going to be based on the 5 strands of social and emotional needs. They are decision making, social awareness,
Self-management,
self-management,
and also
self-regulating. So basically, these are what your child needs to be able to function well in the classroom. And as kindergarten teachers, we're going to be fostering those foundations through stories. So each month we'll have a different topic, whereas the teacher will go through, for instance, one of the first ones is the book No David. It's where a child gets into a lot of trouble in school. He comes in, he stands on the table, the teacher has to say, "No, David." So we're teaching the children, we ask the children, what should David have done in that situation to reinforce the positive behaviors? So we're showing them how to regulate their behavior and how to manage what they're doing in the classroom. That's one of the different topics that they'll be covering. They'll be covering making good choices with decision making. So throughout the year, each time we go on to a new unit, the teachers will be sending home information to the parents so that you can foster those social and emotional areas in the home as well.
Right, as Ms. Monziano mentioned, it's not only learning the academic piece, but focusing on the whole child at an early age. So that self-management, self-regulation, self-awareness, understanding why students feel the way they feel, self-management, meaning managing their emotions. If they're upset, what can they do? Decision-making, how to make good decisions. The concept of social awareness, understanding, the social setting, understanding how to work with others, and building relationships. So these are skills or life skills that they'll need beyond kindergarten. Estamos hablando también del enfoque que no solamente es académico, sino el aprendizaje social y emocional, que hay competencias de aprendizaje social y emocional, que son la regulación de las emociones de los estudiantes, la capacidad de hacer amigos o hacer relaciones, la capacidad también de tomando buenas decisiones, y también enfocado en el estudiante a aprender a cómo entender sus emociones. Sabemos que no solamente es importante lo académico, pero también el enfoque en el niño o el estudiante completo, en la área emocional y en la área académica.
As we go forward and the students are using their iPads more, taking them back and forth to school, we encourage you to download an app called the Orton Gillingham app, and it's by the Meyerson Academy. What's great about this app is that it teaches the students the letter formation, the letter sound, as well as how you should form the letter with your lips. Why would that be extra important this year? Because everybody will have masks on. So if you are able to have this app on one of your devices in the home, the students will be able to review the correct way to say the letters by seeing someone's lips.
Ok, esa es una de las aplicaciones que es gratuita, que pueden descargar usando su celular. Es como, por ejemplo, hablamos del programa de fonética que estamos usando, que es las recetas de Orton Gillingham. Por ejemplo, si van a la aplicación, y ponen or en Gillingham, pueden bajar la aplicación que se ve como se mira en la pantalla. Y cuando bajen la aplicación van a ver como unas cartas donde pueden los estudiantes practicar los sonidos, el nombre de la letra, también ver un video de cómo se posiciona la boca para hacer los sonidos adecuadamente. Y a veces también hay un video y un gráfico que comienza, por ejemplo, la A sería para manzana, que es A.
So our district is currently 1-to-1 for technology, which means that each student at Quarles School will have an iPad that will come to school each day and will go home with them. That will be their iPad. So if you do run into a situation where you need support with the iPad, there is a correct way to get that. The first thing to do would be to let your child's teacher know, and the teacher will then put in a ticket to have someone from IT reach out to you. And then once the IT person reaches out to you by phone, they'll be calling you. They'll decide if they can go in remotely and fix the device, or if the device will need to be returned and either fixed, or you will get a different one.
Tecnología. Cada niño va a recibir un iPad que vendrá de la escuela, que llevarán a la escuela y llevarán a casa diariamente. Es muy importante que esté la tableta cargada 100% todos los días. O sea, en el tiempo de que regrese el estudiante de la escuela, que la carguen o la carguen en la noche para que sea completamente cargada en el día. Los procedimientos de ayuda. ¿Qué pasa si se daña o hay un problema con la tableta? Los padres deben de notificar a la oficina principal, a la directora o a la maestra. La maestra va a hacer un boleto de ayuda para el departamento de tecnología. Nivel 1, si el problema puede ser arreglado vía teléfono, eso significa un nivel 1. Nivel 2, el problema puede ser arreglado remotamente por un técnico de nuestro distrito. Nivel 3 es si es necesario devolver la tableta para que uno de estos técnicos puedan revisarla y ayudarlos a que tengan otra.
So going into kindergarten, if your child has not been with us for pre-K, you will be getting access to the Genesis portal. And this is very important for parents to make sure that they have access. This is the area where you will do your COVID form every morning, where you will fill out all the forms that need to be filled out for the school year, and also where you will watch your child's progress through gradebook. And when it's time for report cards, where you will get your child's report card. You will receive a link to create this profile in your email. So you should be looking out for that if you haven't already done so. It may go to your spam or your junk folder, so please check them. And if you need support, there's going to be opportunities on August 16th to the 18th from 9 to 2 for parents to be able to get support with Genesis if needed.
Those dates are maybe subject to change. So we will notify the parents if we are doing the August 16th to 18th date. That may change or maybe push just one more week. If you need to update any of that information, let's say you registered your child with an old email address, please, you can contact the main office at any time, or you can contact me as well. I'd be able to assist you with the changes, or reach out. I can reach out to Mr. Vincent regarding the change. El portal de los padres es muy importante, donde tendrán la oportunidad de ver todo relacionado al estudiante. Por ejemplo, la asistencia, pueden ver la carta de calificaciones, los formularios necesarios de llenar. Si ustedes no tienen un correo electrónico o un acceso al portal de los padres, Es muy importante que se comuniquen con la oficina principal o conmigo para que yo los pueda ayudar. Si ustedes sí tienen acceso y cambiaron de correo electrónico, por favor de contactar a la oficina, porque esa es la forma de que ustedes completarán el formulario diario de COVID-19.
Within the parent portal, as I mentioned, you will have access to fill out all the forms that need to be filled out for the beginning of the school year. Some of these include the technology form, your photo release form for your child, consent for videos and audio conferences, the emergency information, the nurses form, and the digital code of conduct, and the HIB, which is the harassment and bullying form.
¿Qué consiste el portal de los padres? Permite a los padres ver la asistencia, como comenté, libro de calificaciones, conducta y grados. También pueden ver los formularios que pueden completar, que son los siguientes: el formulario de tecnología, el formulario de fotos para uso escolar y para nuestra página web, formulario para padres y encargados para la aprobación de conferencias de audio y videos, el formulario que tienen que llenar de acoso, intimidación y bullying, el formulario de la enfermera y el código digital de conducta. Todos sus formularios se encuentran en el portal de los padres.
Class Tag is a program that we use to communicate with the parents. So your classroom teacher will be reaching out to you before the start of school, probably the week before, your email address, where you will be able to set up your account for Class Tag. Class Tag will be used to provide class-wide messages if there's an announcement that needs to go out. And it will also be used to communicate directly one-on-one with your child's teacher if they need to speak to you. The great thing about Class Tag is that you can control the language that you receive the messages in. So if you need a different language, it has several different options that you can select from. So when you read your messages, they will be in the selected language.
La maestra de su niño se comunicará con ustedes usando la plataforma de comunicación Class Tag, que pueden acceder con su teléfono. Esta aplicación le permitirá recibir anuncios de la clase y podrá comunicarse directamente en privado con la maestra. ¿Cómo encuentran este acceso? Al principio del año, la maestra con su lista de alumnos usan sus correos electrónicos o números de teléfono que se encuentran en Génesis. Así le llegará a los padres una invitación por correo electrónico, donde pueden llenar en qué lenguaje quieren recibir las comunicaciones. Por ejemplo, si es español o coreano, puede ponerlo en su idioma que prefiere. Y así, si la maestra manda un mensaje, le llegará a ustedes directamente en el lenguaje que escogieron.
Seesaw is a digital portfolio that we use with the students that we've been using over the past year, where the students can go in and complete work within this app. The teachers will push out the classwork or homework to this app, and right in the app itself, the students can complete the homework and send it back to the teacher. We will be sharing more information about how this app is used later in the month, so be on the lookout for a flyer about a presentation for how to use Seesaw. But you will get registration info for your child from your child's teacher probably on the first day of school.
Seesaw es también otra aplicación que las maestras usan como portafolio digital del estudiante. La profesora puede usar Seesaw para tareas, para reforzar conceptos que los estudiantes aprendieron durante el día o durante la semana. Cómo se accede también es que la profesora los pondrá a los estudiantes en su cuenta de Seesaw y ustedes les llegará el formulario o la información vía correo electrónico también de cómo acceder a la aplicación Seesaw.
Visiting Quarles School. If you need to come to the school to visit, we ask that you schedule an appointment in advance of coming. You will be asked to complete the COVID screening upon arrival, and you will also need a driver's license or passport in order to scan into the building. Masks are currently required to enter the building, and right now we are only allowing parents at our main building. Parents are not allowed down to the classrooms when the students are in session. So we ask that you call and schedule an appointment before coming over to the school.
Visitando a la escuela de Quarles, las visitas deben de ser, le pedimos a los padres de que llamen antes para hacer una cita. Actualmente no se deja visitas en las aulas, solamente se dejan las visitas en la oficina principal para las personas que necesitan dejar documentos importantes, hablar con la enfermera, las cosas importantes. Si van a visitar a nuestra escuela, es importante dirigirse hacia el área de seguridad, donde se le pedirá a usted una licencia o un pasaporte. También se le pedirá a ustedes de que llenen el formulario de COVID-19 para así estar seguros de que ustedes puedan pasar hacia nuestro edificio. Los tapabocas o cubrebocas son requeridos en nuestro campus por todos los adultos y niños.
The dual language program. If you are interested in receiving more information about our dual language program or the classes, we ask that you please reach out to our administrator for that program, Miss Mercedes Gill, and her email address is mgill@epsd.org.
En nuestra escuela hay un programa de lenguaje dual en que los estudiantes que quieran aprender el idioma español o aprender mitad en español y la otra también aprender en inglés, que se diferencia al programa bilingüe, tendrán la oportunidad de, si no, hace un par de semanas la señora Hill dio la aplicación. Si tiene alguna pregunta y su hijo está en el programa de lenguaje dual, por favor de contactar a la supervisora de lenguajes, que es la señora Hill.
Recess. Every day, the students will get 20 minutes of recess, either before or after their lunch. Weather permitting, recess is on the playground, and we ask that you just make sure that your child has whatever they would need to be dressed appropriately for the weather. We want to make sure they're warm enough if they're going to be outside playing for that amount of time.
Recreo. El recreo es 20 minutos en total. Puede ser antes o después del almuerzo. Le pedimos a ustedes que estén pendientes del clima. Si hacen frío, por favor de traer los niños vestidos apropiadamente durante, dependiendo cómo está la temperatura. Los niños en el frío a veces también van afuera. Entonces, si está muy frío el día, que lleven su bufanda, lleven su gorrito para estar bien tapados en el invierno. Si llueve, el recreo será adentro.
COVID-19. So every day before 7 o'clock, we ask that the parents fill out the COVID-19 screener form in the Genesis portal that signifies that your child has not had symptoms or traveled outside our area. The form should be completed by 7 a.m. If you are having problems getting into the Genesis portal or accessing the health questionnaire, you should contact Ms. Teresa DeVincent, and her email address is tdevincent@epsd.org.
It's very important that you complete the form by 7 a.m. The reason being, let's say the form is not filled out at the time that it should. This past spring, we did have a holding room to ensure that the child was cleared to come back into the classroom. So please, parents and guardians, we ask you to please be proactive, put this on a schedule for every 7 a.m., making sure that the form is completed, as we want to make sure that your child does not lose any of that instructional minutes or the welcome greeting at the beginning of the school day. And Ms. Lindano, if you want to chime in with the if they select one of the symptoms or two of the symptoms for the COVID-19 form.
Yes, hi. Yeah, if you check off that there are any symptoms present, you will get a notification on the system that you are to keep your child home and that you need to contact the school nurse.
Right.
And then she'll discuss each individual case individually.
We know, and Ms. Lindano, myself and Ms. Clapper, we've seen a lot of cases in which child has allergies or seasonal allergies, and they're coughing and they're sneezing. It's very important that if you know your child has seasonal allergies, that we have a doctor's note stating that your child has seasonal allergies, and the cough or the sneezing is part of their allergies. So if you're able to get a note and you know that your child has allergies in the fall, please provide that information to Ms. Clapper. Ese es el ejemplo del examen o el formulario diario de COVID-19 que se encuentra en Genesis. Todos los padres deben de completar a diario el formulario de salud a las 7 de la mañana. Se puede completar en su teléfono o por computadora. Si su hijo tiene uno de los síntomas, le otorgará una banderita a la enfermera donde tenemos que hablar con el padre y decir si los niños tienen, por ejemplo, 2 síntomas, no podrán ir a la escuela. Si usted sabe que su hijo sufre de alergias, está tosiendo, está con congestión nasal y es algo que se le da en las temporadas del otoño o de la primavera, por favor, hable con su doctor y que le den una nota, un formulario que indica que su hijo le da alergia durante X estación, para así cuando ustedes completen y digan mi niño tiene tos o tiene congestión, no se le diga al niño o al padre que no pueden asistir a la escuela ese día.
COVID-19 in the classrooms. So in the classrooms, each child will have an individual container with a lid for their materials. The students will be provided the materials and they will not share any of the materials with other students in the classroom. Assistants will be regularly disinfecting the centers before and after rotations. And the students will be given a list of when you get your packet at home of supplies that they should bring in so that they have everything they need in their bucket.
Este es un ejemplo de los contenedores que tendrán sus hijos en las aulas. Los contenedores son individual, tienen la foto de su hijo o su hija, tienen los lápices separados, las crayolas, los marcadores, cualquier material escolar que es necesario. Esto es para evitar que compartan los materiales debido a la pandemia y al COVID-19. Los asistentes que están en cada aula de kindergarten asistirán a desinfectar los centros de artes de la rotación y ayudará con la limpieza.
On all of the desks or tables that we have desktop dividers, which you can see in these pictures, that go around the child so that they have an area just for them. We also have socially distanced seating as much as possible in the classrooms. Classrooms have hand sanitizer available, and Board of Education approved disinfectant is used regularly in all of the classrooms.
Ese es un ejemplo de cómo son las clases divididas. Por ejemplo, habrán esos divisores, como ven en la foto. Las mesas sí serán socialmente distanciadas. Habrá desinfectante en cada aula. También hay desinfectante en los pasillos. También hay un desinfectante especial para las áreas de alta frecuencia, o sea, los manubrios de las puertas, de los baños, etcétera, que está aprobado por nuestra Junta de Educación. Ms. Sandana? Maybe.
Okay, sure. So for COVID-19, if your child tests positive for COVID-19, it's imperative that you notify the school immediately. I would prefer if you would notify the nurse first, because, and then you can notify your teacher, but the nurse, you will usually notify the administrator and the teacher, and then we'll have contact with the local health department. We work very, very closely with the local health department, and with them and with our superintendent, we make the decision if the school has to be closed, or if it's just a building in your case that has to be closed, or it's just a classroom that has to be closed. So it all depends on who was positive and who was around that individual. And again, as soon as you call, you know, we would notify, usually we notify, a letter will go out from school that says that your son or daughter may have been in contact with someone that tested positive, but we will never give out the name of the individual who was tested positive due to HIPAA regulations. Please, if your student has ever tested positive or is testing positive presently, has been in contact with, or is somebody presently at home or family member that tested positive and you've been in close proximity, or if there's somebody in your household that's being tested for COVID-19, please keep your student home, contact the nurse, and then we will give you the guidelines as to quarantining, whether you do, you don't, how long, what we need to wait for.
Esto es sobre el COVID-19. Si su hijo da positivo de COVID-19, por favor de notificar inmediatamente a la maestra, a la enfermera o administrador. La enfermera con la administración y el departamento de salud de Englewood hacen la determinación si un salón de clase, edificio o escuela tendrá que ponerse en cuarentena y o cerrar. Es muy importante si hay casos de COVID que sean reportados a la escuela, si hay una persona en su hogar que está también con una prueba positiva, por favor de informarlos también. Si un salón está en cuarentena, nosotros vamos a llamar a los padres. Por favor, tenerlos en mente de que puede ser a un horario no adecuado. Puede ser que nos toque llamar muy tarde en la noche. Eso depende de cuando se ponen en contacto a las personas con nosotros para decirnos que hay una persona que dio positivo al COVID. I am stating to the parents on the session that the calls, let's say an incident does happen and there's a COVID case in the school. We will call we call them as first contact. So we will call the parents of the children that have been in close contact to the positive case. Please keep in mind that these calls can be in not appropriate hours. It may be late in the night. It depends really when the school's informed about the situation. There have been situations in which we find out as a school and as the nurses department at 7 p.m. and we could be calling 30 students. And once we reach the 30 and we do the questions for contact tracing, it can be 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So please be mindful. If you do see a number throughout the school year that's not a number that you recognize, it may be the school calling regarding the case. We apologize in advance, yet we cannot control at the times that a case is reported to us.
Okay, so as of right now, our regulations that we have to follow is that everyone is wearing a mask in September. When we come back as adults, even if they're vaccinated, we all have to wear a mask. We do not have any other specific guidelines as to, if we're going to have any other options, but as of right now, school, as you heard earlier, is opening full time and for all students. And there at this point is no virtual option. But as far as masks go, if your student has some sort of a health condition that's really inhibiting them from being able to wear a mask, we would just need a doctor's note specifying exactly what that condition is, and then we would put that in the file. We cannot allow just a face mask. A regular mask covering the nose and mouth is mandatory. So if your student is not used to wearing a mask for a long period of time, I suggest that you start now and then every day gradually work it up for an hour. That way they are able to wear the mask for the entire school day, because really the only time in school when they won't be wearing the mask will be when they're eating. If your child has an IEP, a specialized education program, again, if it's going to give them an exception, a medical exemption from wearing the mask, again, we just need that doctor's note that specifies and gives us the diagnosis.
Entonces, estudiantes asistiendo a la escuela deben de usar un cubrebocas o un tapabocas. Le pedimos que los padres tengan los estudiantes a diario con dos, una por emergencia. Siempre en nuestras oficinas tenemos una caja de tapabocas por si se les pierden. Las excepciones son si, por ejemplo, se indica por un doctor que el estudiante no puede tener el tapabocas o el cubrebocas puesto. También se indica en el plan individualizado del estudiante de que si no puede tener el cubrebocas puesta a cada hora. I know we also talked about the mask wearing. Yes, the students must wear the mask all day, except when they're eating. Also, I know, Ms. Lindano, we mentioned in the spring that when the students are outside and they're running, they don't have to wear a mask. I just want to double check.
Yes, especially when the weather is very hot, then they do not need to wear the mask. Yeah.
Right. So, si los estudiantes están en recreo afuera, no tendrán, porque van a estar corriendo, van a estar muy activos y no queremos que estén respirando bien, no tendrán que tener sus cubrebocas en el recreo si están afuera. I know we mentioned about how the high impact areas are being cleaned. So in the image, I know the slide is in Spanish yet. The image shows you this disinfecting spray or gun that the school district purchased. All of them are approved by the EPA, and our custodians will walk around to the high impact places such as the doorknobs, such as the bathroom doors. They do go in and log on at every, I believe it's half hour or so to go into those high impact areas. COVID-19 en nuestra limpieza. Las áreas de alto impacto serán desinfectadas en intervalos frecuentes. Como ven en la imagen el material verde o la pistola verde es un desinfectante que es aprobado por la EPA y será suministrado por nuestro personal de limpieza.
Okay, so the goal of the health office is to assist the students and the parents in the management of the health needs of their children. And we try to coordinate our care, between the school and the home and the community. We do try to bring outside, programs in, like for example, we're going to have a new vision program in the district this year, which will be able to serve all children from ages 3 all the way through senior in high school. We do have to work within state and guidelines, laws, and we do have district policies. So if there are any policies and procedures that we are doing that you are questioning, you just have to please feel free to call Mrs. Clapper with any questions that you might have. She does have a health website under the Quarles School, and all of her contact information would be found there.
El objetivo de la Oficina de Salud es ayudar a los estudiantes en necesidades de salud mientras estén en nuestra escuela. La enfermera de la escuela trabaja dentro de las pautas estatales y las leyes y las políticas del distrito de las escuelas de Englewood. Si ustedes en cualquier momento tienen una duda de la salud o de las vacunas necesarias, por favor de comunicarse con Ms. Clapper. Su número está debajo y también su información.
Our immunization requirements, since we're speaking with the kindergarten group, after your child turns 4 years old, there are 3 immunizations that are required, and your physician will know what those are. So we just need to make sure that your child's immunizations are all up to date. So as soon as you have that kindergarten physical done and immunizations, if you could forward that to us. There's only the one difference as far as the flu vaccine for your pre-K 3 and 4 children. They were required to have a flu shot annually. Kindergartners are no longer required, though we recommend it, but it's no longer required as a kindergartner to have that done. If you have any questions regarding immunizations, please give Ms. Clapper a call.
Estas son las requisitos de vacunación para los estudiantes de kinder, como se indican aquí. Si ustedes no están seguros de qué vacunas es necesarios para su hijo, por favor de llamar a la oficina de la enfermería. Eso es, por ejemplo, la varicela, la influenza, hepatitis, el DTaP, el IPV también. Asegúrense que estén a medida o a la fecha de cuando las vacunas deben ser administradas.
Again, this is the flu shot. So again, but this group, it's really not applicable. This would be more for the pre-K 3 and 4. But if you do have a younger child and you're not able to come tomorrow night for this video message, I could just briefly go over that the pre-K 3, 4 are required to have annual flu shots. They're due between September 1st and December 31st. If, however, it's not done by December 31st and we do not have documentation that it was done, your child will be excluded from school until either A, the vaccine was given and we have the documentation, or the child must remain out of school until the end of the flu season, which will be April 1st. If you do not have any insurance or having difficulty with payments, the health clinics listed below on the slide are very able to assist you in many different ways. And our families in the district use these clinics all the time. And we're very familiar with them. We work well with them. And if you have any questions, just give them a call.
Esto es para, por ejemplo, si ustedes tienen un estudiante que tiene los 4 años y cumplirá los 5 antes de el 1 de octubre, es necesario tener la vacuna de la influenza. Si ustedes no tienen seguro médico, una de esas clínicas le ayudará a no costo hacer las vacunas de la influenza, que es la clínica North Hudson y el Departamento de Salud de Englewood.
All right, emergency cards. We distribute emergency cards to every family at the beginning of the year, which basically asks for the students, birthday and address. But the most important part of this is the contact information, the emergency contact information. Should your child become ill or injured at school, we need to be able to contact you. And this is the only way that that we can get a hold of you. Please make sure that we have working numbers, emails, whatever it is, the best way to be able to reach you. We request 3 emergency contacts. Sometimes we know that's not possible, but it's as many of those as you can get us, we would really appreciate that. And again, as your phone numbers may change during the year, your employment may change during the year, please be sure to update anything that might change, whether it's phone number, email, or contact names and numbers.
La información del formulario de emergencia es muy importante que ustedes se actualicen con los números de emergencia que es necesario de tener en caso de cualquier causa que la enfermera tenga que llamar debido a una emergencia. Por favor, al principio del año les llega un formulario que dice Emergency Card, el formulario de emergencia. Le pedimos que al menos tengan 3 números que sean actuales para personas que podemos contactar en una emergencia que no podemos contactar a los padres o encargados.
Administration of medication. All right, so if your child is requiring any medication of any sort, if your child is diabetic, if your child has asthma, if your child has ADHD, and if your child has seizures, any medications that we need to administer needs a physician's order. Each medication needs its own order. The medication, when it's brought to us, needs to have the order with the diagnosis and the illness, the name of the medication that we're going to be administering, and the dose and the time that it needs to be given, if it's something routine like for an ADHD student. The parent, you must provide a written authorization as well, the medication form. And I believe Ms. Clapper has all the medication forms because we basically standardized all the forms, but you will be able to find them all online under her health office website. And it would say basically the medication or the authorization form. So that would need to be signed by you at the bottom, and then the physician would fill out the top of the page. When you bring in the medications, they have to have a pharmacy label on it. That way we know that we're giving the right medication to the right student. So the student's name should be on there with the drug and the dose, et cetera, and what it's for, and the physician that ordered it and the pharmacy that dispensed it. The medication will be kept in the health office. And again, if you have any questions regarding medications, please give Ms. Clapper a call. As far as the asthmatics go, very important to note as of right now, the CDC has not given us the okay to administer nebulizer treatments in school. So if your child is waking up and is requiring a nebulizer treatment during the night or in the morning before school, we ask that you please keep them home because we won't be able to administer that nebulizer as of right now. If the child is able to use an inhaler, the nurse can assist in that process, and we ask that they come with a unit called a spacer, and your physician will know what that is, and then we will teach you, we have to teach your child how to use that. But if the medication will be kept in the nurse's office, please make sure that each medication has a form, is completed appropriately, signed by the physician, the correct labeling on the bottle, And this has to be done every single year. So as you're moving along, just please be reminded that all your medication orders need to be renewed every year.
Administración de medicina, si es necesario proporcionar medicamentos durante el día, es muy importante de que les den a la enfermera la receta que indican que la medicina es necesaria de ser administrada durante el día. También que la medicina esté en el envase original y con y que esté al tanto con la fecha de la medicina. También debe de tener la etiqueta de la farmacia y todos los pedidos deben de ser actual para el año escolar.
All right, if your child has a temperature over 100 or higher, is any vomiting or diarrhea, any rashes that we can't figure out what it possibly could be, possible conjunctivitis is basically pink eye. It's and that's basically strep throat, but some children and adults, they don't get strep throat, they get pink eye. It's the same strep infection. It's very contagious. And then there's, of course, the COVID-like symptoms, which everybody knows at this point what they are. However, please be reminded that, again, you know, with allergy season, etc., some children, they already suffer from headaches. They complain of a lot of headaches, etc. We have had many children and adults test positive for COVID when they're thinking they're just allergies or just a common cold. So when you say that your child has symptoms, or if we send them home, if we definitely send them home with anything, with a cough or a runny nose, a fever, you're going to be asked to take them for a COVID test. And we ask that you please do that and get the result back to us, because we will not be able to get them back to school without that result. And if the test result is negative, then we will require a doctor's note telling us what the diagnosis is for the child.
Por favor, las enfermedades general y el despido médico. Se llamará a los padres para que recojan a sus hijos si el estudiante tiene temperatura de 100 o fiebre de 100 grados o más, si el estudiante tiene vómito o diarrea, si tiene reacciones en la piel o sospechosa posible conjuntivitis y síntomas de COVID. Síntomas de COVID porque ha habido, como comentó la enfermera, muchos casos en que la persona o el estudiante, los padres pensaban que eran alergia y después unos días llegan y se dio que el estudiante o la persona tiene el COVID-19.
All right, any student that gets hurt in school or at school activities are always reported to the school nurse. And minor injuries will be taken care of, first aid will be given. If we feel that the child needs a little bit more further medical evaluation, you will be called and instructed to please come and take your child for medical treatment.
Lesiones, sí, todas las lesiones que ocurren en la escuela, las actividades escolares deben de informarse a la enfermera de la escuela. Si un estudiante visita a la enfermera durante el horario escolar, una lección menor le dará los primeros auxilios. Para lesiones más graves, se llamará a los padres y tutores inmediatamente y se le indicará que vengan a la escuela para llevar a su hijo que reciba tratamiento médico.
All right, during the school year, we do provide screenings. Every student has height, weight, blood pressure taken, and depending on the age, it's either vision, hearing, or it could be both. We do them according to our state guidelines. And usually we'll send out a notification to the family, if the screenings are taking place.
Sí, los exámenes de salud, todos los exámenes de salud se realizan de acuerdo a las pautas de salud escolar del estado de Nueva Jersey. Los exámenes de salud incluyen la altura, el peso, la presión arterial, la visión y la audición. El año pasado no se hizo durante la reapertura de escuela en abril.
Extra clothing. Yes, we ask that you always have an extra set of clothing for the children in their classroom. Please label all their clothing with their full name. Sometimes there are children that have the same name, first and last name. So if there's something that can signify a difference, if it's a middle name, please put that. If it's junior or the third, please label it as such. That way we have everything separated. If an accident occurs and your child does use those extra clothing, please replace that as soon as possible. That way we have another set should we need it. And also remember, your children are really starting to grow, and be mindful that we have clothes that fit them, that they're not too small or too tight. That way they're comfortable.
Ropa adicional, es muy importante que todos los estudiantes que tengan ropa adicional en la clase. Por ejemplo, hay las bolsas transparentes que tienen los sellos. Por favor, al ingresar de la escuela o empezar las clases, que tengan la ropa adicional con la etiqueta del nombre completo de su hijo o su hija. Si ocurre un accidente y se usa la ropa adicional, le pedimos de que ustedes manden, por favor, otra ropa. Estén al tanto del crecimiento de sus hijos. Por ejemplo, los niños pueden crecer mucho, ya no les sirve la ropa, que si usted ve que lo que mandó en septiembre ya de pronto no le sirve en diciembre o en febrero, hacer ese cambio. We're opening for any questions, if you can type them in the chat. I do want to mention to all the parents on the call, all this information is subject to change. The way that schools work is we wait for the governor to make decisions based on the protocols, and then the superintendents of the county are then guided to make decisions based for their school. A lot of this information that's presented to you today is subject to change depending on the pandemic and COVID-19. I know there's questions, there were questions regarding the after-school program. Bergen Family Center has in the past, prior to the pandemic, always had their after-school program at Quarles. Right now, I know the Bergen Family Center, I believe, posted some information regarding it today. It's very new, so we do not have a lot of information regarding it. It seems that it will start up this September. As I mentioned, the information is to come soon within the next coming weeks. In regards to, I saw a question regarding COVID testing. If a parent is not sure as to where their child can receive the COVID test, the nurse helps a lot with helping to find a place. For example, the North Hudson Clinic. It could be also one of the urgent cares as well. The nurse does assist if needed with a place to have your child tested. I do see when is the first day of school. The first day of school is September 2nd. The calendar is on our website. It's on the Englewood Public School website, posted with the days where school is closed and the first day of school. School is open prior to Labor Day this year. Las escuelas, la pregunta era si cuándo abren las escuelas. Las escuelas abren el 2 de septiembre, es antes del día feriado del laboral. También sabemos que había preguntas de dónde llevar a los estudiantes a examinarse. Si no saben dónde se puede hacer el examen de COVID-19, la enfermera asistirá con los lugares que pueden ir para hacer los exámenes en la clínica. También había una pregunta sobre el cuidado después de la escuela. Sabemos que el centro de Bergen Family Center en los años anteriores han tenido el programa de cuidado después de la escuela. Sabemos que Bergen Family Center está tratando de dar información más sobre el programa. Actualmente se comunicaron con nosotros hoy a decirnos que es posible que sí van a tener este programa en nuestras escuelas. Will there be another meeting before the first day of class? As we wait for changes to be made, they will have another meeting, maybe not for leveled for pre-K and kindergarten, maybe all together. That way we can give parents more information. All of our students at Quarles are eligible for busing, and that information for transportation is through First Student. First Student is a company that transports our children to the school. Information about lunch. So the forms I know usually are paper based. The lunch information will be online in Genesis. The students have to be tested for COVID. Prior to entering the school building, the students will not have to be tested. As we mentioned, if the students do have symptoms, they will need to be picked up. Please note that the COVID-19 form is extremely important, that it's filled out on time. We don't want to have a lot of students in the holding area waiting for the parents to fill out the form. Please help us ensure that the students are ready and they're learning for their full day of academics. The question is approximately when will we be notified regarding the classroom and teacher. Ms. Manziano, I've been the acting principal starting April, or the start of the reopening of schools. Ms. Manziano, if you can chime in.
Sure. So the information, a packet will be going out at the end of next week or early the following week with your child's teacher, the bus information, any hard copies of forms that we're able to offer you. That will all be going out in a packet to you in the coming weeks, that you'll have it in plenty of time to know for the start of school.
Regarding arrival and dismissal procedures, we're waiting to have more information, and that information will be given to the parents through email regarding what the protocols will be for arrival and dismissal. The bus tags, or the tags that Ms. Manziano is talking about, oftentimes at the back have the information of the individuals that can pick up your child at the bus stop. Please note, parents, if there's a certain day that you know that somebody else is picking up your child that is not in the tag, please make sure to contact the main office. Contact the main office and let the one of our administrative assistants know that it will be another person that has the permission to pick up your child. If we are not notified, we cannot release your child that is not on one of the names or tags at the back of your child's bus. Estamos hablando sobre si podemos, hay transportación, todos los estudiantes de Quarles clasifican para la transportación usando el bus. Es necesario de que si ustedes van a saber que una persona diferente va a recoger a su hijo en la parada de bus, que notifiquen a la oficina, porque si no se notifica a la oficina, no se le entregará al adulto o a la persona, a su hijo. Eso es debido al protocolo de seguridad. Si no están en nuestra lista y si no están en la lista detrás de la mochila del estudiante, no podrán ir. Next question, will there be some classes? Okay. Yes. We'll answer that question. In a regular school year, yes, there is breakfast. Regarding the breakfast program, as we are informed what that will look like from Pomtonium, which is the company that does our food services, we will inform the parents.
We have a question. What is the earliest a child can be dropped off at school? I can answer in a normal year, it was earlier, but from this last spring, 7:55 was the earliest from last spring. As we get more information about that for this coming school year, we will share that with you as soon as we have it.
We will just give one more minute for questions. We know that it may seem that you know, a lot of things are up in the air regarding what you know, changes will be made. Please keep in mind this is something that is out of our control, and as the administrative team and as a team of teachers and the nurse team as well, as soon as we know more information, we will do another presentation for the parents and or inform the parents of any of those protocols for arrival and dismissal prior to the beginning of school. Okay, the question is if the students will be eating in the classes or in the cafeteria. Right now we're suggesting, it's still in conversation, and I am right now we're talking about the possibility of the students eating in their classroom, and the reason being is to avoid the contact of students being all together in the cafeteria. In years past, it's 50 students, it could be 50 students or 70 students in the cafeteria. For the safety of our students, we're still thinking that maybe the best option is for students to eat in the classroom. It hasn't been decided yet. Well, yet we will inform the parents. So the question is how many students are in each class. Classes vary from 16 to 21. El número de niños en el salón varían 16 a 21. We want to thank all the parents and guardians on the call for being active participants in today's session, asking great questions, and being a part of this journey. Please note that it's extremely important. Kindergarten is such an important year for students as they not only focus on academics, but as we mentioned, the social emotional learning piece, which is crucial for the development of the whole child. We ask you to be very involved in your child's educational journey. All the activities we talked about today, the concepts that can be, you know, that you can speak to your child about while going food shopping or while having conversations, make the learning fun and engaging, and be a part of that process. Make sure to read every night to create a routine for your children. We are here to support you. Miss Arlene and G will be back on September 1st. We have a great team here at Quarles that will make sure to support you in any way possible. So please feel free to contact us, anyone on this screen or Miss Clapper and on other administrators such as Miss Gina Young. Queremos agradecerle a todos los padres y encargados por estar aquí esta noche con nosotros. Sabemos que muchas preguntas no pueden estar respondidas en una forma directa. Sabemos que esta pandemia no podemos decir que las cosas van a suceder de una forma porque llega que los casos incrementan y tenemos que cambiar nuestro plan. Le agradecemos a ustedes estar aparte aquí con nosotros para saber sobre el plan de estudio de los estudiantes, conocer sobre qué aprenderán sus hijos durante el grado kinder y a decirles a ustedes en esta oportunidad de que estén involucrados en la educación de sus hijos, estén en ese aprendizaje activo, haciendo las actividades con ellos, leyendo con ellos cada noche, para así inculcar en ellos un enfoque académico y también social y emocional. Como comenzamos al principio de nuestra sesión, no solamente es lo académico, sino en el desarrollo del estudiante completo. Le agradecemos a ustedes, por favor, de contactarnos a nosotros con cualquier pregunta o cualquier manera de que podemos apoyarlos a ustedes. So thank you. I also want to take the opportunity to thank everyone on the call, our reading specialist, Ms. Fonziano.
Thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone.
Miss Denise Lindano from the Genesis Middle School.
Good night, everybody.
And we have our technician behind the scenes, Mr. Daichi Kono.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
And a very happy birthday to Daichi as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and
Okay.
have a great night.